Let's get up and come closer. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على خير الأنبياء والمرسلين حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. To emphasize on what's going to be said, the majalis of Abdullah alayhi salam are places of blessings and miracles, and the importance of serving Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, especially during these majalis, are actually emphasized by Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, where he himself, he gives us a command to tell our Shi'ia to go and visit Imam Hussein alayhi salam, where there's actually going to visit him, where there's actually reciting ziyarat Ashura or any visitations, or even when we come and do these majalis, even the Imam alayhi salam actually gave us some sort of what you can call a guideline. There he would ask people to come recite Quran, there he would ask someone to come recite, some words of poetry that make people cry and remember the tragedy of Abdullah alayhi salam, and he would emphasize especially to have them cry. So now we come to 14 centuries later, and you see our majalis are still running on these guidelines of Quran, poetry, remembrance, latum, and it isn't just something like, it's a tradition. It's actually coming from our hearts, and it's actually something that builds our character. For when we do remember Ahlul Bayt alayhim, remember what they went through, we remember all these principles that they set, that they stood for, and these principles, we have to decide what percentage am I gonna die for these principles, and which principles am I ready to die for now, which ones am I not, and how do I become that person that will sacrifice everything wholeheartedly for every single principle that the Ahlul Bayt stood. And you find that, nowadays it's kind of difficult, people feel ashamed to cry, people feel ashamed to say, oh, I went to the majlis, or I went to such and so mosque, because they're afraid of being called, backwards or weak if they cry. But on the contrary, it's these tears that actually break down this thing called arrogance, this thing called the ego, that breaks it down, that makes you more humble, that actually in the end makes you more human. And if these majalis are backwards, or they may seem to be old in traditions, the Imams alayhim salam did them, and they encouraged us to do them. And every year they would make sure to make majalis, and they would command all of their followers to go and visit Abu Abdullah alayhi salam. So salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. I am a Muslim, and to one Lord I submit. Do not call me arrogant, for it was God that chose to put 14 kings as my path of salvation. Do not call me ignorant when Hussein is my destination. Do not call me ignorant when it was God that chose to put 14 kings as my path of salvation. Do not call me ignorant when Hussein is my destination. What shame is there? What shame is there when to be in his servants, when I see an old man tie his green belt to keep his back straight, and only to servants he kneels? Do not call him ignorant. Do not call him ignorant. Even the young can't beat him. They can't. Do not call him ignorant. Hussein's name he chants. You ask where's proof of my words? Why revere such a name? I tell you, even the Christians of Najran feared the names Muhammad, Ali, Fatima, Hassan, and Hussein, For if their hands are raised in prayer, despairs upon the liars is prepared. Do not call me ignorant. By Hussein, the grandson of the Prophet, daylight is declared. For if it wasn't for these names, the world will crumble, the universe wouldn't exist. Adam's repentance never accepted, Noah's ark never it would sail. Do not call me ignorant, do not call me ignorant. The universe was created by the names Muhammad, Ali, Fatima, Hassan and Hussein. Yaqub cried till he became blind. So what shame is there? What shame is there when shedding a tear? No matter how big or small, it's accepted. So what's the fear? To be called backwards, to be called weak. Yaqub mourned his living son till he became blind. So why with Hussein's martyrdom I not become blind? Do not call me ignorant. Do not call me ignorant. Even Imam Mahdi mourns for Hussein day and night. Even tears of blood he cries over Hussein's plight. You tell me it's just the same old story. It's the same old story, why bring it alive? I say, what shame is there for those who stride? What shame is there for those who strive to be called his servants, and millions on foot they stride? Do not call me ignorant. Do not call me ignorant when between Safa and Marwa we must stride. I am a Muslim. I am a Muslim and I stand by 14. Do not call me ignorant when these 14 personified the morals and stories of the Quran, and I, the servant of Hussein's servant, who is crowned with honor in this world, shall have the angels bow to me in the next. So now tell me what's the shame? What's the fear in being called the servant of Hussein? You honor his name. You honor his name in this world, and in the next by him you're crowned a sultan. Do not be surprised with my words. Do not be surprised with my words. For Hussein is the ship of salvation, and I've taken him as my ark. Do not be surprised with my words, and do not be surprised with by the end. And do not be surprised with by the end. Tears upon tears I shed, wails upon wails I cry, and have my chest red with sadness. Upon his tragedy I wholeheartedly lament. Upon his tragedy I wholeheartedly lament. Do not be surprised with by my actions. Do not be surprised with my actions. For him I would do anything for any cause. For if it wasn't for Hussein, every soul would have been forever lost. Every soul would have been forever lost. Wassalamu alaikum jami'an wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.